Hey guys, Matt here. So I don't want to take up too much of your time today. It's just my portfolio was looking really good today, and I figure I'd make a portfolio update and talk about it. And while I'm at it, I will talk about my plans for Gevo over the next few years, what my exact plans for Gevo, just to make this video SEO friendly. So my portfolio, we are sitting at 116 grand, and I have to point out that I have not put a single dollar into this portfolio all January. And the main reason is that, except for Gevo, all my stocks are recovered. Even AT&T and Verizon are still very much on their way back. Verizon had really good earnings today, and we'll see what AT&T is looking like tomorrow. But if AT&T's earnings are looking good, then all my stocks are looking great with the exception of Gevo. And because all my stocks are looking great, that gives me a good problem to have. I mean, mainly, where do I put my money? I mean, the only stock that's very much down is Gevo, and we'll get into that in a minute. But the spoiler alert is that I'm not putting a single dollar into Gevo for the time being. If AT&T and Verizon drop in the meantime, I will continue putting money into that. But other than that, I'm just sitting on cash being held in other places and biding my time. I mean, even with the massive loss of Gevo, I mean, losing stock that Gevo is, I mean, we're still up 13.1%, which is really good, and we're still up well into the five figures, so it's 13.4 thousand. The Fed hasn't even started cutting interest rates yet, so once the Fed actually gets around to doing that, this is going to look better and better. So before we even get into Gevo, let's talk about my investing plans minus Gevo. So, like I said, I haven't done anything at all January with these stocks. And I think that's the point I wanna bring across, is that these stock YouTubers out there, they keep posting videos like 3 stocks to buy now and all these moves that you need to be making. Well, I discovered over the disaster of 2022 and 2023 that you don't gotta do all that. You pick companies that you believe in that are doing well, that are profitable, otherwise not Gevo, and you put money into it. And then as the stock price drops, you dollar cost average. And as it recovers, you don't. And that's it. You wait. I mean, we get into the trap when your stocks are down thinking that you have to do something about it. And that's the problem. I mean, Intel was down at one point to $24, and I sold out of it because I thought the company was doing well. Well, now it's at $48. So the point I'm trying to make is that, yeah, you invest in companies that you think are great. You follow the news to make sure they're still doing great. But then you wait. So what are my plans for Gevo? Well, if you guys have been following my Gevo portfolio, you may have picked up that my original plan for Gevo was to hold it until at least 2024, and then the plan was to sell Gevo sometime between 2025 and 2030. That was with the understanding that Net Zero 1 was going to release in 2024. They were going to start benefiting from the SAF, and all the companies that have these take-pay contracts start actually paying Gevo, and Gevo starts making money. And depending on how the performance of Net Zero 1 actually does over the next years, the plan was to hold the stock until 2025 at the earliest. And if in the best case scenario, everything's going really well, I would hold it until around 2030, depending on how the stock does. At that point, I would cash out, put the proceeds into ETFs, and back away from this whole thing. As you know, Net Zero 1 has been delayed, first to 2025, and now to 2026, assuming the financing actually goes through. Now, what I'll say is this. My plans for selling Gevo have not changed just because Gevo's plans have. I still plan on selling Gevo sometime between 2025 and 2030. So we should know well before 2025 whether the financing closes and what's going to happen with Net Zero 1. If 2025 happens and I think we're not in a good spot, at that point I might sell Gevo at a huge loss. This was a bad idea. I'll take the tax write-off, and I will continue investing in companies that are actually making money. Now, if we get some really bad news in 2024, I could sell Gevo before that, but that's not the plan. Now, if 2025 happens, the financing goes through, and we're in the middle of construction, okay, fair enough. I will continue holding Gevo, until sometime between 2025 and 2030. As long as plans keep As long as the plan keeps coming along successfully, at that point I have no problem holding and waiting. I will continue eating the 70% loss, and I will wait till Net Zero One gets built. We start receiving the money, and then depending on how that goes, is when I plan on selling Gevo. But as far as if I'm buying more shares, I have no plans of doing it anytime soon. If the financing goes through and I feel that the project starts to move along at a brisk pace, at that point I could see myself buying more shares. But for the time being, I have $8,200 invested right now. Gevo is still, I mean, because of Gevo's actions, I still can't. I keep fluctuating back and forth, but as of right now, Gevo is still kind of a spec stock, and it's going to stay that way until I feel the production actually comes along and they stop screwing with our emotions. But that's the gist. I'm not buying any more shares for the time being. I still plan on selling between 2025 and 2030, depending on how Net Zero One goes. But anyways, take care, have a great day, and eat your vegetables.